Between 1095 and 1271, European armies set on a series of crusades. These were military expeditions to retake Christian holy sites, which had been in Muslim hands since the 7th century. The First Crusade began in 1095 after Pope Urban II called on Christian knights to take the cross and pledge to capture Jerusalem. Thousands responded, and with the Muslim rulers of the Holy Land divided, they were able to take the city. The Crusaders set up small states and built castles, often defended by orders of religious knights, such as the Templars. But when rulers such as Saladin and Baybars united the Muslims, the Crusaders slowly lost ground. The Muslims took Jerusalem in 1187, and in 1291 the last Crusaders' fortress fell. Let me first explain this picture, and then we will be talking about Crusades. Here we can see paths of first 4 Crusades. Since they involved the largest armies and the biggest battles, the first 4 Crusades between 1095 and 1204 are sometimes called the Principal Crusades. Apart from these Principal Crusades, there were 5 minor crusades in the later years, as well as many other expeditions in between. This violet arrow is showing us the path of the First Crusade. The First Crusade captured land in the Middle East, founding Christian kingdoms here. The first crusade started at November of the year 1095. Pope Urban II preaches the first crusade at Clermont in France, calling on Christian knights to take back holy sites in Palestine. Here. As we can see on this picture, from Clermont, Crusade path is going through Rome, then here they cross Otran Gate, and they then reach Constantinople. After this point, they went also by land to their destination. Let us write some of these. I want to make this presentation more transparent, and I will write some details of each crusade. Wars of faith. As I said before, there were 4 principal crusades, the big ones, and then later on 5 more of them. First crusade started in 1095. In June 1097, the armies of the First Crusade defeat the Turks. After a hard-fought battle, and then they open a way across Turkey. In July 1099, the Crusaders capture Jerusalem. After a short siege, but it was also a sad day for Christianity and Christians. Many inhabitants, Muslims, Jews, and also local Christians were massacred in this attack. Approximation is that 70,000 people have been killed when the Crusaders took Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the holy city to Christians and Muslims, and it became the capital of Christian kingdom after this first attack in 1099. But afterwards there were not enough knights to defend it for the long term. In December of 1144, Edessa, a Crusader kingdom in Syria, was captured by the Muslim leader Zengi. And then the Second Crusade sets out to take it back. The Second Crusade. The Second Crusade was not so successful. On November 1147, one of the armies of the Second Crusade, led by Otto II of Germany, was defeated by Seljuk Turks. And then in July 1148, the remaining armies of the Second Crusade besieged the Muslim city of Damascus. But are defeated. On this picture we can see the path of the Second Crusade from mid-Europe across land to Turkey, and as I said, in the Second Crusade there were many German knights from here. These knights, European knights, wore heavy armor and fought mainly on horseback, but they were also supported by foot soldiers called men-at-arms. On the other hand, the Crusaders called their Muslim opponents Saracens. They wore armor of interlinked metal rings and were excellent archers. Here we can see Saracen horsemen. The Second Crusade, as we can see, the green arrow from the city of Constantinople went to Holy Land across land, and also here the last part across sea. It is the green arrow. Regarding First Crusade, we can see here that there were also one branch of the army from mid-Europe. Altogether, the First Crusade was the most successful crusade from the side of the Christians. Later on, they were not so successful. In year 1187, Crusaders living in the Holy Land lose almost all their territory to the Muslim leader Saladin. The Third Crusade is then launched in response. Here on the First Crusade, I will write important name, Pope, Urban, the second, and then in the Third Crusade, I will write the names of two kings, King Philip Augustus of France, and King Richard the First of England. King Richard the First, called Lionheart for his bravery, set out for the Third Crusade soon after he was crowned in London in 1189. So we can say that this crusade began indeed in 1189. This event in 1187 was only the cause of this crusade. Therefore, for the Second Crusade, we will mention the name of Muslim leader Saladin. King Philip Augustus and King Richard I arrived with crusading armies at the city of Acre near Jerusalem. The city was somewhere around here on the coast. They arrived here in 1191, and then in September of this year, King Richard defeats Saladin, and he was helped by Crusader knights from the Templar and Hospitaller orders. Despite he defeated the great Muslim leader Saladin, he could not retake Jerusalem. Then, 10 years later, in October of 1202, the army of the Fourth Crusade gathers in Venice and sails across the Adriatic in Venetian ships supplied by Doge Enrico Dandolo. In exchange for the use of the Venetian fleet, the Crusaders attacked Venice's enemies in the Christian town of Zara, today Croatian city Zadar. We can see by this, and also we can remember the First Crusade, when Crusaders also killed Christians, that it was doubtful war or wars, because for their benefit they were also attacking Christians and killed them. So after they attacked Zara, they went by the sea here again in Constantinople. In April 1204, the Crusaders sacked the Christian city of Constantinople after a quarrel over money with Byzantine Emperor Alexius IV. Let us write here this information about the Fourth Crusade. First, we will set Venice. write Zara. And then we will write Constantinople. And also we will write Alexius IV. Byzantine. Emperor. We can see on this illustration that the blue arrow went only to here. So from this we can see that the Crusaders didn't even arrive at the Holy Land. In 1217, armies of the Fifth Crusade fail once more to take Jerusalem, but invading Egypt instead. But they are defeated outside Cairo in 1221. Fifth Crusade. Twelve 17. Egypt. And Cairo. In 1228, Emperor Frederick II of Germany leads the Sixth Crusade, which retakes most of Jerusalem. And it is interesting because we can see that Crusaders took at least part of Jerusalem in later Crusades. So we will write Frederick II of Germany. And we will write also Jerusalem here. but in brackets we will set all part of. In 1248 until 1254 we have the Seventh Crusade. The Seventh Crusade invades Egypt. So one more after the Fifth Crusade and Seventh Crusade, the Crusaders attacked Egypt. But this crusade ends when the Sultan of Egypt captures its leader, King Louis IX of France. In 1250, the Mamluks, a new Muslim dynasty, took over in Egypt. And then their ruler, Sultan Baybars, seized many of the remaining Crusader forts in 1270s. We can write that it was 8th Crusade. So we will say 1270s, and we will write the name of Sultan Baybars. And the Ninth Crusade, we can say 1291. But from this time we can only write that Sultan Baybars captured Acre, the last major stronghold of the Crusaders. In this battle, the approximate number of Crusader knights that were left in Acre was only 1,000 when this city fell to Sultan Baybars. One interesting fact is that in Second Crusade there were 200 ships in the fleet that carried the English knight to Holy Land. Some Crusaders traveled overland to the Holy Land, but it was a long journey through a Muslim-controlled territory, so it was far safer to go by sea. Altogether, these wars, the Crusades, last almost 2 centuries. And what was achieved? Many people died, all in the name of religion. Unfortunately, this human behavior we can see also today. But it will be good to remember these 9 wars, 9 crusades that gave us nothing but death and misery. Thank you for your attention. Good night.